I would first like to introduce to you a man who obviously needs no introduction, longtime friend, Hidalgo County Judge Ramon Garcia. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Thank you. Please be seated. Letty, thank you very much for that very, very kind introduction. And we certainly want to acknowledge your participation, our gratitude for you doing so. Channel 5 is really the station that covers the Upper Valley, which is where our county is. So I've always done. Now, but I do want to also make some time and acknowledge some members of my family that are present here today. My #1 supporter, my mother, who just turned 89, Angelica Garcia. A little upset with me because she had plans to go to Vegas and she had to stay here, but my sister, Letty Garcia. My son, Omar Felipe Garcia. And there's also another person at the table, a young lady that has been involved in trials and tribulations of the good times, bad times, both political and personal. That's Angie Lee Ramirez. And we had invited Kika and Lucille. We wanted to again acknowledge their contribution to our county community, to our South Texas area, to our country. Unfortunately, they were not able to make it, but we certainly want to make sure that they hear that at this conference, at this meeting, comprised of the leadership of Hidalgo County, that they were recognized again. So on behalf of your Hidalgo County Commissioners Court and approximately 3,500 county employees, we want to welcome you to this meeting, to this State of the County address, to this beautiful facility, and acknowledge the work of the City of Pharr and its City Commissioners for turning what used to be a fairly nice place into a beautiful facility. It's very nice, Mayor, and thank you for allowing us to use it. Our county is comprised of 21 incorporated cities, municipalities, and 15 school districts. Together, they are all represented here today. Together, along with your 43 county elected officials, and together with the representatives of the various committees that have been appointed by your Hidalgo County Commissioners Court, the Drainage Advisory Committee, the Regional Mobility Authority, the Courthouse Planning Committee, and all of the other boards that exist throughout our county, people that volunteer their time and talents for the greater good of the residents and the citizens of Hidalgo County. We want to acknowledge their positions of leadership, because in this room we have what we can very, very, very proudly call the leadership of Hidalgo County. So thank all of you for being here. Like Letty Valadez, I was also born and raised here, and I'm certain that about 99% of you here were also. The other 1% took a while to find us, but once you got here, it's going to take a lot to get you out, especially on a beautiful day like today. This is truly a Valley day, Valley Spring Day. Now, there's no question that this is our county, this is our home, and we're all in this together. We're trying to work out agreements that we call interlocals to make sure that we provide all of the services that are needed by our county residents, working with our school districts, working with our municipalities, working with our water districts, working with all of those public boards and bodies that exist throughout our county. Because all of us want the same thing, and that is to do what's right to improve the quality of life of our residents. Now, in 2003, When I began my first term involved in county government, the court concentrated on fiscal responsibility. That was necessary because at the time, our fund balance when we stepped in on January 1 of 2003 was about $700,000. That'll be enough to kind of hold us over for a good reign. And that's just clearly something had to be done. And your commissioner's court, all of us working together, got involved and put in place some policies and made some changes that dramatically impacted our fiscal bottom line. And that enabled us to, at the end of 4 years, we had our county being in the best financial shape and condition in this 54-year history at the time. And we certainly want to acknowledge the work of that Commissioner's Court. Today, our fund balance is approximately $35 million. But in this new term, we want to do more than just concentrate on fiscal issues. We want to keep on being fiscally responsible, but we also need to address and should address some of the challenges that exist for our county. We need to develop the infrastructure needs that are going to be very, very necessary for any future growth and development. I really sincerely believe that this county is in such a good position, both geographically and based on its assets, the biggest asset that we have, which is our people. Industrious, hardworking, and the average age is about 27. Obviously, I'm not there, but that is the average age of our population. So we have a very young population. We want to make sure we do everything we can to properly train them, educate them, that's why South Texas College and the University of Texas Pan American are so important. We would not be in this position but for having facilities, institutions like those existing here in our county. That's what's enabled us to educate our population and provide us with the stimulus and the growth that we have experienced in the last few decades. Now, we are living in the 7th largest county in Texas. Our population is somewhere between 900,000 and 1 million. The U.S. Census Bureau counted us at 774,000. We believe that we were severely undercounted. We believe that we presently do have somewhere close to 1 million people living amongst us here in Hidalgo County. Now we have, I know you've read about this, we've hired a law firm to challenge those findings. We're going to be involved in an administrative procedure, going to the U.S. Bureau of Census and trying to get them to change their mind and give us a bigger count. Now, why is that so important? The firm of Price Waterhouse has concluded that for every person that is not counted, the county will lose approximately $16,000 over the next 10 years because this occurs every 10 years. You multiply that by at least 100,000 undercount, and you realize that the math shows that we're losing about $1.6 billion at 100,000 undercount over a 10-year period of time. And as my good friend Mayor Richard Cortez would say, now we're talking real money. And this money is badly needed to provide the level of services our residents deserve. Our county has the largest indigent population in Texas, which requires more and more services. County government is where the responsibility to help the poor is placed. The state and federal government then keep on imposing mandates, most of them unfunded mandates. At the present time, we're operating 8 county-wide health clinics that provide service to approximately 52,000 patients per year at a cost of right under $5 million. The cost of providing indigent health care, which is a little different, that's the cost that we pay doctors, physicians, hospitals, healthcare providers, is approximately $8.5 million. The cost of providing indigent defendants with a lawyer as mandated by our Constitution is approximately $8 million. 60% of our $161 million budget is spent in our criminal justice system, over $96 million. But we have to provide the resources necessary to maintain the level of services that our residents deserve. We, in doing all this, have not increased our tax rates in 9 years, and we intend to keep it that way. In order to accomplish what needs to be done, we have implemented certain measures to save money or increase revenues in 2011 and beyond. You will hear from our county commissioners on what is going on in their precincts, and you will hear from our sheriff as to what he's been involved and what he has been doing countywide, and I might add he's done an excellent job for our community. Some of those cost-saving and increased revenue measures are: we address the issue of indigent defense. We've only begun. In beginning, we got together with our judges, whom we really want to express our gratitude for, our county court at law and our district court judges, for helping us by providing more cases to our public defender system. It used to be that our public defender system, as small as it was only being used for half of the staff. Well, we went and we visited with our board of judges, our judges, county and district, and they have been very, very, very good about understanding the issue and appointing lawyers from the public defender's office to represent indigent defendants, and that alone in 2011 saved us approximately $1 million. We're looking forward to 2012 being a savings of approximately $2 million. Now, indigent health care, the mandate is that we have to spend 8% of our budget of the $161 million on indigent health care. We have worked out and entered into an agreement with the various hospitals throughout our county, and entered into what is called the upper payment limit, or UPL program, and we have reduced our cost for providing indigent health care from approximately $13.5 million to $8.5 million, a savings of about $5 million. We have also put in place an alternative incarceration program. This will reduce the expense of jail overcrowding. Our jail, the present jail, became overcrowded the same year that it was built, back in 2001, I believe. And whenever we have the jail overcrowding issue and we have to spend money on inmates outside the county, that involves approximately $48 to $52 a head per day, and it adds up. It's in the millions. We have also adopted and put in place what we have called Operation Clean Slate. We've discovered that there were approximately $40 to $72 million, depending on whose numbers you were looking at. In any event, both were very substantial, of fines and fees that had not been collected through the years. Well, we have put in place this Operation Clean Slate, and we have put in it in 3 phases. The first phase being the voluntary phase. Their names appear in a computer. People are told, look it up. If you owe any money, now's the time to take care of it. Second phase is going to be when all the records are given to the DPS and to our local officials, that your name will come up whenever you're out there trying to obtain a new driver's license or a new vehicle registration permit. You're not going to get it. Not until you pay the fine. Thirdly, as a last resort, we're going to turn it over to some law firm that'll be involved in collecting them. But so far, in the first phase, the voluntary phase, we've collected over $500,000. Another issue that we are working on for this year is privatizing sanitation. By doing so, we will save our county about $4 to $5 million a year. Now, we're also trying to encourage economic development, like all of you here in this room really appreciate and understand that that's really where we need to be. We need to create more jobs. We need to attract more businesses. Well, I want you to know that our county is doing its part. We've been working. Right now, we've been working mainly with the larger urban centers, McAllen, Pharr, Mission, San Juan, I better name everybody before I start. We've been working well with our 21 communities, but we also understand that some communities may not be able to afford having an economic development department, but may need some assistance. Well, we're encouraging you to come to the county judge's office. We've got 2 people on staff that's going to be their job. They need to get involved in helping all these different areas, explain to them what's available at the county, make ourselves available to educate prospective businesses that are interested in locating in our county, because the way we look at it, we don't care if it's in McAllen or the Delta or in the west or in the eastern part of the county. So long as it's in the county, it benefits all of us. Now, we are providing tax abatements for certain types of businesses, depending on the business and the number of jobs that are going to be created. That will, of course, dictate the amount of the abatement. That's an incentive that needs to be used by more and more communities. We're also working on what we call TIRZ, which are tax increment reinvestment zones, where we designate a particular area within a community where we abate our taxes up to 50% for up to 20 years, again, depending on the type of business and the kind of jobs that are going to be created. And we allow those monies to be used as incentives to attract businesses to particular areas. Right now, the only ones that have been taking advantage of this particular TIRZ have been Pharr, McAllen, Mission, and I believe La Villa has filed an application in Edinburgh. And we certainly want to encourage all of our 21 communities to get involved in doing so. Now, what are these monies that we're saving or generating going to be used for? Well, for the last 3 years, I would say about 95 to 97% of our county employees have not received any kind of an increase in their salaries. That's something that we feel we need to address, and will be addressing this particular budget cycle. But we've got, besides our basic services that we presently provide, we at the County Commissioners Court want to address 3 different basic challenges. The first one is drainage. Drainage, a good drainage system is badly needed. We have approximately $35 billion worth of property that needs to be protected in the event of a major flood, major hurricane. And we, unfortunately, right now are at the mercy of the weather. And that should not be the case, because besides property, we're also talking about human life, and that needs to be looked at very, very carefully. Now, in 1970, we've been calling a big canal that we want to build on the northeastern part of the county, the Raymondville Drain. All the water that falls, when water falls in McCook, if you look towards the bay, it's about 120 yards drop. About 120-yard drop from McCook to the bay. So anything that falls in the western part of the county is going to be coming through in some way through the rest of the county, through McAllen, through Mission, through Edinburgh, and the eastern part of our county to make its way to the bay. That's just the natural flow. Well, that's where the flooding comes in. So we need to find a way that we can divert that water into a big canal, and that's what the Raymondville Drain is basically all about, with a lot of laterals attaching to it. Now, if this canal, if this drain, Raymondville Drain, had been built in 1970, when some work was done in our drainage system, it would have cost us $7 million. Today, the projected cost is $156 million. That's only the Raymondville Drain, not the laterals. When you're looking at a comprehensive drainage system, you're looking at a total cost of approximately $340 million, 200 of which is our share as a county. The rest, we have been told that the federal government would be amenable to working with us on the balance of that cost. But it's time to do it. We can no longer just be kicking that proverbial can up a ways and let somebody else handle it. I do believe that we need to get involved and start addressing it today, or as soon as we fiscally responsibly can. Now, we have a board that's addressing our transportation issues. Besides our county commissioners, whom you're going to hear from, talk about all of the farm-to-market roads that they're involved in working on, the county roads that they're constructing. We have some major arteries that need to be looked at and problems addressed. We have the RMA, the Regional Mobility Authority, comprised of 7 members of our community, 5 of which were appointed by your Commissioners Court, 1 from the City of McAllen, and the Governor appointing the chairman. And they're involved in studying and evaluating the needs of the county, and they're going to be involved in constructing. It appears like it's going to be another means of getting from the eastern part of the county to the western part of the county, or vice versa, instead of just the expressway. And at the same time connect all our bridges. Our bridges, of course, being Ansalduas, McAllen, or Hidalgo, Pharr, Donna, Progreso. I mean, all those bridges are going to be somehow connecting to this new artery, traffic artery, which is called the TTC or the IBTC, or both, depending on the level or the distance constructed. Now, another major issue is what's called the La Jolla Loop, an artery, a loop that is going to be worked on to go around the cities of almost Peñitas and La Jolla and come out there on the western part of Sullivan City to avoid the traffic congestion that exists. And when we talk about traffic congestion, all we have to do is probably just walk outside before you get to your vehicles. And if it were between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or between 7 and 9 in the morning, we would know what congestion is all about here on this exchange between Expressway 281 and Expressway 83. We very, very seriously need to start addressing that particular problem. And of course, the one member called it the pie in the sky, but it's still out there in the planning stages. Millions of dollars have been spent on the Hidalgo County Loop. I'm not sure when we'll ever get to that, as soon as we're fiscally able to do so, but that's certainly in the planning stages, and a lot of work has been done. The property itself, the rights-of-way need to be tied down, and I believe the RMA is working on that, but that's the other major artery that this county is looking at addressing. Now, lastly, the courthouse. There was a study conducted as to the need for a new courthouse. The need indicated that we needed 364,000 square feet of courthouse space. We presently have 101,000 square feet there in our building. The rest is properties that are surrounding the courthouse that we are leasing or somehow accommodating all of the different departments that need to be involved with the administration of justice. When this courthouse was built in 1954, there were 2 district courts and 1 county court of law. And they went ahead and provided for the future by building an additional court. Well, today we have 10 district courts, 8 county courts of law. We have what are called auxiliary courts. We have a child welfare court. We have a few master courts. We have approximately 24 courts in existence here in Hidalgo County. And this facility that we presently have is very, very inadequate. And as a result, we need to start looking at the construction of a new facility where we have to address the security issues that come with this present old building. I mean, when you've got your judges, your jurors, court staff, all walking through the same hallway as the prisoners that are being prosecuted, that kind of lends itself for a problem to occur. And we also have a building that, without going into detail or great detail, it needs a lot of work. Now, we have, therefore, a high cost of maintenance. It's not an adequate building, and we need to get involved in constructing a facility that will serve our needs until the next century, which is not really that far away. None of us are going to be here, but it's not that far away. Now, we want to thank the City of Edinburgh, very specifically the mayor and the commissioners, for their involvement in trying to help us build this facility. It's a win-win type of a situation. The City of Edinburgh is involved in economic development of its downtown area. That's where our courthouse is. And they've already set aside and have spent $100,000 to help us pay for this plan that evaluated the need and is involved in going around the community and trying to explain to the members of the community why it's important that we get involved in constructing a new facility. Now, they've also advised us that they're setting aside $8.2 million worth of different commitments that'll help us pay for the construction of a new facility. And at the same time, they're getting involved with the county in creating a TIRZ, a tax increment reinvestment zone around the courthouse square. And this TIRZ is going to be used to generate income from any tax increases that may result from the time we create it until the future, until we, to be used to retire debt service and pay off that courthouse building. We want to make sure that when we do it, we're not going out there to the community and trying to get them to pay more taxes. That is not in our game plan, so we want to make sure that we act fiscally responsible in the construction of this new but very badly needed facility. Now, we're all in this together. This is our county. This is our home. If back in the 50s, I've been told that there was a committee formed to address transportation needs of Hidalgo County. And they got together. At the time, we had Old Highway 83. That was it. That was our main artery, and it looked like it was sufficient, I'm sure, back in the 50s. I remember driving on it. We used to live in Alamo, and my dad worked in Pharr, and we traveled Old 83 every day, almost. But we had some future-minded thinkers on that committee, and they knew that this area was going to grow. So they started planning for and acquiring the rights of way for this expressway. And the expressway was built in phases. Those of us that have lived here long enough remember that in the 60s is when they started working on 2 lanes going east and 2 lanes going west on this facility this asset we now call Expressway 83. But for those members of that committee thinking ahead for something that was not really going to benefit them, but it was going to benefit future generations, we would not have this Expressway 83 or Expressway 281 as we know it today. We need to start doing some of these similar projects. We need to have that same type of thinking. We need to start thinking about the future generations of our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and beyond, and we need to start addressing these challenges. Thank you very much for being here today. And just remember, we are all part of the same leadership of Hidalgo County. Thank you.